Good morning. Good Saturday morning, last day of our fall time zone or time, whatever. We're gonna lose an hour tonight and fall back. So sunrise will go back to being early again. So I took full advantage and kind of slept in. I know that my version of sleeping in might not match yours. That's okay. That's why it's awesome that we're all so different. Makes the world go round. So today we started the book of First Timothy, or letter. And I just read the first chapter or first section of the letter. It's really, really good. And I'm calling this one How to Stay Useful. Since yesterday was like, we're all created for a purpose. And if that's true, we want to be useful. I mean, if something has a purpose, we want to kind of maintain that purpose, right? And be useful. And Paul is talking about how he was before he received God's love and understanding and the good news, and how he used to blaspheme, he uses that word twice, blaspheme God's name. And but he was ignorant. He's like, I was ignorant. I didn't know any better. There's a difference with doing something in ignorance and not knowing any better. And that God showed him mercy. He was open to receiving the truth. It's not that he didn't want to see the truth. He wasn't trying to resist. It wasn't a deliberate, like, I know this and I know that it's true, and I'm going to do something opposite deliberately. That's a very different thing. And he talks about being, and then he was able to be useful. God showed him mercy and actually said, hey, you're actually the perfect example. Like, if you can change, anybody can change. Like, you'll give people hope. You'll be a good example and a demonstration of my love, my power, or faith, all of that. Because he wasn't intentionally being, he actually thought he was for God. He didn't understand. He didn't have the full picture, the full story. So there's a real big difference between doing something out of ignorance, but he still had an open heart. He was pure in that, and he wanted to serve God, and he wanted to know the truth, but he just, didn't have it all. And so, but then he closes the letter and gives an example. He even names two people. Like, these two, they know better, and they're deliberately doing things that they know better. And now their faith is shipwrecked. I thought, oh my gosh. Well, a shipwrecked ship isn't very useful, right? It stops being useful. And that's hard to dig yourself out of, because then you've got to repair the ship. You've got to spend a lot of energy if you have a shipwreck. And maybe, is it beyond repair? I don't know. Or then you have to build a new one. So that's a big diversion from usefulness. And if we use that analogy to ourselves, like when you deliberately know better, when you know better, but you deliberately do the opposite or go against that, you undermine yourself, and you undermine God, you undermine other people, because you have the potential to be so useful, and you're intentionally trying to sabotage your own usefulness. And then trying to even fool yourself. He talks about people going back to the law. And Paul is like, the law is for people that don't know any better. They don't know. They're like, it's for bad people to help them try to be better. But they need it. But you people that know better shouldn't need the law. Like, you don't need this. But the temptation, because of being human, is that even when we know better, we can deliberately do things that maybe aren't good for ourselves, and then we try to still be good by following the law. Does that make sense? Like, I think I've been in that place before. Have you? I think I have. I know I have. Where I wasn't ignorant, so I couldn't like claim the bliss of ignorance. I knew better, but I was like, well, is it really that bad? You try to justify it, and then you go over here and try to keep all the laws and the rules and achieve your goodness that way. But the law isn't made for good people who know better. It's made for people that you shouldn't need the law. You should, that's why it frees you from the law. But if you're deliberately trying to do things that aren't in keeping with knowing better and living from that genuine faith, you're trying to have it both ways, basically. This is, another version of having your cake and eat it too. But you can't be useful that way. You're not useful. And you fake yourself out by thinking that you are, by trying to go around and maybe do good. And that's why a lot of us can fall. And even the church, there are many in the church, and not just like the Christian church, but, many churches and religious traditions where people are trying to be good to make themselves feel better about deliberately doing things that they know are not so good. Does it make sense? And that's not really a useful place to be serving from, because your energy is so dispersed. Your power, your faith, it's so scattered versus the power of laser focusing and living, and it being more of an overflow, a cheerful giver that is talked about in one of the other books. I can't cite the address right now. Oh, by the way, I forgot to I was in this beautiful spot here. Let me take you back down here and it kind of ignoring it. Kind of funny that talking about a shipwreck and I'm on the water on a dock. Can you imagine if this dock just broke? And then it wouldn't be very useful anymore. I couldn't be standing on the water. Wow, look at this. How beautiful. We had cotton candy sunrise this morning. It was really, really pretty. All the billowy white clouds, the blue and the pinks. It's very pretty. Rain is on the way. So anyway, how to be useful. Have a clear conscience. That was the direction to Timothy. If you live with a clear conscience, you're going to be good. If you try to deliberately go against your conscience, and then he names two peoples and gives examples, you're out of here. I'm going to let Satan deal with you. And then after Satan deals with you, then maybe you can come back. Maybe you'll get in line like I did and come back and live with a clear conscience. Because mercy, the hope of mercy, grace is available to everybody, even those who deliberately do wrong, because that's how grace works. But you can't have grace, you can't have that available to you when you're blocking it by deliberately living outside of that. Because you're trying to game the system is what you're trying to do. I was trying to game the system. God doesn't put up with too much of our games and he's the one that knows our hearts, and we know our hearts. And that is what causes pain. And then we scatter our energy and our power. We give it away and we're shipwrecked, because we're trying to game the system, basically. I like those words. So are you useful? Are you living in a way that you know better? And if you did these things over here better, are they niggling at you? Are they nagging at you? You look in the mirror and you're like, ugh. I've still got a couple of areas like that. I'm working on them, and it's a process. And when you've got maybe a life full, when you've been shipwrecked it takes a while to build the new ship and to repair the ship. So if you're in that place like I am, you know, accept the grace, like you're working on it. So that's a whole different thing. That's not, you're deliberately now reconstructing and fixing and building new. That's a totally different place. That's not deliberate anymore. So there's a big distinction there. He's talking about deliberately going against your conscience. If you're still doing things that are maybe not in line with your conscience, but you're deliberately working on it, that's a different story. You're becoming useful again. You're working on it. And you've got all of that. You can open your arms and heart to grace. Well, we all can at any time, but that should cause that shift in us, that heart shift, where we're now deliberately repairing and working on things. Make sense? I hope it makes sense. Anyway, I've got a busy coaching morning this morning, and then I think I'm gonna give my brain a break today. It's going to be a rainy afternoon, and it sounds like a good day to maybe cuddle up on the couch with some treats and a good movie, maybe a nap with all the pets, and have a little self-care afternoon and give my system a chance to recharge and plug back in and recharge. All right, so whatever you've got on your agenda today, maybe you've been working hard all week and you're ready to maybe get after it with some exercise or exploring or traveling or getting together with people. Like, enjoy whatever, do something to take care of yourself. Self-care Saturday and Sunday. All right, bye. Rise and shine. See you tomorrow.